Well, good morning, guys. Today is the 4th of July, and happy Independence Day. Today is a very special day for our family. We celebrate this quite a bit. And one of the ways that I started out with is reminding my children that, hey, today is the last day that some people are waking up with all 10 of their fingers. I'm a former ER nurse, so I've had to treat many of these injuries over the course of my career. And this first story, I think, is very apropos for today. Nassau officials have blown up a car, a mailbox, and a whole chicken in an action movie fireworks warning to people for the 4th of July. He started out the presentation with, "Do not use illegal fireworks." Every year we hear about people losing an eye, fingers, and it's just not worth it. Besides, to add insult to injury, they're going to even arrest you for it. The officials rigged several items with commercial-grade fireworks that can be purchased legally in nearby states like Pennsylvania. And they wanted to put together a display for members of the media ahead of Independence Day. Bringing fireworks into New York from other states is not only illegal, but it is dangerous, they said, and they can be even set off just by friction. He did a demo of what could go wrong, igniting fireworks in the trunk, which then exploded and went up in flames. Officials said that blowing up the chicken was similar to having a firework go off in your hands. They also ignited a mailbox, which is a popular 4th of July prank that goes on to kind of show exactly what type of damage could be done in that. The Deputy Commissioner, Kevin Smith, revealed that 20 Nassau homes in the last 5 years have burned down due to illegal fireworks. 5 in the last year alone. Many from residents throwing out their used fireworks that they did not realize they were still hot or active. Now, this is something in our family. We have the fireworks set up out in the street, oftentimes on an old galvanized steel beat up trash can that's all painted for the 4th of July. And when they are all expended, we immediately drop them into a 5-gallon bucket of water in order to make sure that they're completely extinguished so that they could be safely thrown away. And they actually stay in that 5-gallon bucket of water overnight. Now, what you might say, hey, I'm going to fill up a 5-gallon bucket of water. Well, that's true. We have many 5-gallon buckets of water to make sure that every one of the fireworks that we set off are going to be safe. And I think you should do that as well. My next story is on an ex-post made by the Denver Post, and it's about Colorado and 19 other states last Tuesday filing suit against the federal government to prohibit Medicaid data from being used for immigration enforcement. Now, I'm of two minds on this because on one hand, this country spends a humongous amount of money on illegal immigrants. It's to the billions of dollars every year. And on the other hand, I certainly don't want anybody not seeking out medical care who requires it, regardless of their status. But I understand that a lot of those people are afraid that they'll get deported. So let's look into this a little bit. This is News Nation's website, and they say that Trump's big, beautiful bill, nearly 1,000-page mega bill. By the way, I'm against 1,000-page mega bills. I think that each law should be voted on individually. They should not be lumped up with a bunch of other laws. The mega bill outlines the removal of at least 1.4 million immigrants who are in the United States unlawfully from Medicaid. That's the claim. Now then, News Nation follows that up with, can illegal immigrants join Medicaid? And they say, well, no. Immigrants who have entered and remained in the U.S. illegally are not eligible for Medicaid. That's kind of interesting. So that's the claim, and that is the Democrats' rebuttal to this whole thing. Now then, I want to go back to the Denver Post's posting because they say that Colorado and 19 other states sued the federal government Tuesday to prevent Medicaid data from being used for immigration enforcement. But we were just told that illegal immigrants aren't on the Medicaid database because they can't apply for it. So which is it? Are they on it and the Trump administration can't see it? Or are they not on it and this is a frivolous lawsuit? Not quite sure exactly where that stands. But let's go into the real numbers here. This is from the Center for Immigration Studies, and it says that illegal immigrant households on welfare programs, 47.9% of them are on school lunch programs. 22% of them, 22.7% of them are on WIC. 22.4% of them are on SNAP. 51% of them are on Medicaid. Again, 51% are on Medicaid, but I thought they couldn't be on Medicaid, which is real. And then 3.8% take advantage of public housing. So obviously we can see that 51% of illegal immigrants are on Medicaid. So then why the lawsuit? Well, they say that this violates HIPAA rules. So let's go over and take a look at HIPAA. This is from the HIPAA Journal, and it's by a gentleman named Steve Adler. And he talks about the 20 states that are currently suing the Health and Human Services over this release of data. He said that the Medicaid program established in 1965 by the Medicaid Act to provide health insurance to lower-income individuals and underserved population groups, including children, seniors, pregnant women, and individuals with disabilities. Notice it did not say and illegal immigrants. So last month, the Associated Press reported that the Trump administration had disclosed the personal data of millions of Medicaid recipients to the DHS. Hence the lawsuit. During the Biden administration, 7 U.S. states and the District of Columbia launched programs that allowed immigrants who are not legally living inside the United States to enroll in their state's Medicaid program and receive full benefits. Again, that puts lie to the claim by the Democrats that there are no illegal immigrants on Medicaid. And then it skips down to the Trump administration has upended longstanding privacy protections with its decision to illegally share sensitive personal health data with ICE. In doing so, has created a culture of fear that will lead to fewer people seeking vital emergency medical care, is what California Attorney General Bonta said. Are they prohibited from sharing that information? Is it a HIPAA violation? So let's take a look at the HIPAA exemptions. And the number one of which is law enforcement purposes. These exemptions allow disclosures for law enforcement purposes, such as to report a crime, to respond to a court order or a warrant, or to prevent or lessen a serious and imminent threat. So these are all very important exemptions, and we don't cry about people not coming to the ER because they're afraid of not being arrested for a warrant. That's never been a problem. So realistically, ICE wanting to take into custody an illegal immigrant is kind of a warrant. The next exemption is for reporting crimes. Providers can disclose PHI to law enforcement if they believe the information constitutes evidence of a criminal conduct that occurred on the premises or the covered entity. Okay, so again, we can report for that. Again, it reinforces the idea that you can give out information when it comes to law enforcement situations. And then there's a couple other ones which I think are important exemptions. And then the last one is legal mandates. HIPAA allows for disclosures to law enforcement when there is a court order, subpoena, or other legal mandate. So if there is a law that currently is on the books, or if there's an executive order that is currently on the books, that is a legal mandate. So realistically, the HIPAA laws are not applicable here. And I'm sure that there's going to be a judge that fines for these 20 states. But ultimately, when it hits the Supreme Court is going to have to look at these exemptions, and they're going to have to say, I'm sorry, there are specific exemptions for law enforcement. Now it's time for another J.K. Rowling minute. So here we have an ex-post from Socialist Stanley, and he says, "Hi, Joanne. So are you saying this lady should use the men's locker room then?" To which J.K. Rowling responds, "You've sent me the wrong video. There isn't a lady in this one, just a man reveling in his misogynistic performance of what he thinks a woman means: narcissistic, shallow, and exhibitionist." And that's really kind of hits the nail on the head, because so much of this transgenderism really is narcissism, and it's putting on the costume of somebody else. If it was a white person doing it with a black person, we'd call that blackface and we'd excoriate them. But when it's a dude putting on a dress, we go, oh, how wonderful. Well, not all of us. J.K. Rowling, still writing, still rolling. Love her or not, she's got that spark. She lit up millions in the dark. So the next story is something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is the proliferation of AI videos on YouTube. And I have noticed it over probably the last year that it has just gotten really almost out of control. So I thought to myself, how can I research this? Well, decided to go right to the source. I went right to Google and asked its AI, what exactly is the total number of AI generated videos on YouTube? So the short answer is nobody knows. There's a number of faceless AI channels, possibly numbering to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. The rapid growth of AI generated content on YouTube is evident in the fact that the 4 of the top 10 YouTube channels by subscribers were entirely based on AI generated content. YouTube itself suspects that AI generated content may be responsible for 90% of all the YouTube content in the very near future. And that really isn't very sustainable, because as more and more people get on this AI bandwagon and start generating these videos, and they could be generated in a very rapid fashion, as more people get on that bandwagon, the more content there's going to be out there, and it's just going to squeeze out real live YouTubers for all this content. You're not going to be able to find them through all the garbage that's out there. And the amount of storage space out there is pretty finite. I mean, yeah, we could continue to build storage facilities and whatnot, but ultimately that's not going to be searchable easily. It's going to be kind of insane. And then YouTube's going to have to start figuring out, who am I going to prioritize as far as storage space? YouTube has emphasized that they believe quality content will ultimately succeed, that the AI stuff is kind of faddish and it will fall by the wayside. I'm not so sure. They are going to have to do something to limit it. Otherwise, like I said, it's just going to overwhelm the system. There are concerns about the quality, accuracy, and the origins of AI-generated content. The quality, most of it's not very good. If you've ever watched it, it's boring, it's soulless. Accuracy, not necessarily all truthful stuff. I've come across quite a bit of AI generated content was blatantly lying. And then the origins, basically running afoul of the copyright system that YouTube has. So then my next step in this was to look into, well, what exactly are the problems that AI sees for AI generated content on YouTube. And what I was just saying, shallow, inaccurate content, a lot of historical factual errors, outdated information. If the goal is to inform or persuade, these weaknesses are just devastating. Synthetic voice and delivery, this drives me nuts. I don't like that synthetic voice. I also don't like the delivery. Even if the voice sounds very natural, oftentimes the inflections are way off, and it's a real tell. Empathy is missing, and viewers just want to tune out on that. There's very weak visual creativity. AI will generate visuals, and it'll just scrape pictures and videos off the internet, and sometimes not even joining them up with the words that it's saying. But the generic stock footage isn't interesting to the human eye. Style inconsistencies, but there's also a lack of authenticity and personality. I really want to touch on this. Real face or persona will generally have personality to it. AI videos don't. Even if they have a AI generated person talking to you, they're very stiff and they just talk kind of like this. It's not interesting to watch. Genuine storytelling or lived experience. AI has no lived experience, and as a result cannot really relate stories well that relate to the subject at hand. AI content often will chase the trends rather than set them. Again, the creators are just looking at those top 10 trending items, and that can just become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everybody doing the top 10, which makes them the top 10, which makes it very difficult for anything to break into the top 10. And then ethical and legal gray zones. I already talked about scraping the copyrighted material. And then community engagement. AI just can't really engage with the viewer. You as the viewer can put comments down below. I encourage you to do that. But you can put those comments in. I can respond to you. AI cannot do that at this point. I can build up a fan rapport, whereas AI really can't. It's not connecting with you really as a viewer. So this is the way ChatGPT summed it all up, and I think it did a great job of this. The greatest inherent weakness of AI-produced YouTube videos is the absence of humanity in insight, voice, vision, and connection. They can flood the platform with quantity, but they often lack the depth, charisma, and resonance that makes content memorable and influential. If you're serious about standing out, the way forward isn't necessarily to reject AI, but to blend it in with human direction, creativity, and voice. AI can build the skeleton, but only people can give it the soul. And that's how I really think that we need to embrace AI. It is a tool like anything else. If we rely on the tool too much, we don't really get the job done. But if we guide the tool, it can be a big help in getting us things done. AI is very effective in language modeling and can help you write dialogue in stories. It's not very good about descriptive stuff, but it is really good about dialogue. AI on YouTube is really good at, kind of going through and determining what is the trending items. You can bounce ideas off of it and determine whether or not an idea is a good idea or a bad idea. I did that for this video, in fact. And other things, if you want to avoid copyright problems, you can build your music by AI, and you can build your images with AI. And that allows you to make a presentation to your viewer that will be more interesting to the eye than just AI scraping random images off the internet. Now, having said all that, watching Bigfoot and his adventures is really, really funny. And baby Gordon Ramsay, I tell you, watching him chew out one of the chefs is the greatest thing. And then you get the Princess Bride in babies. It's adorable. Okay. So those things I think that YouTube actually is kind of cool for. You still have to have somebody who's oftentimes writing those things, and they are putting those videos together. And I'm not sure that they fall into that AI slop that's out there, but they are very funny, and I would hate to see those necessarily go. So next time you go running through YouTube, do me a favor. If you click on an AI video and you recognize it as an AI video, hit dislike and click off of it. If enough of us do that, then we're going to promote the real human beings on YouTube way over the AI ones. Thank you for listening. So this video was caught in a Walmart, and I gotta say, it's a little creepy. So that's all I have for you today. So until next time, when shopping in Walmart, shop smart. Bring a mousetrap.
Well, it started off just a normal night with rollbacks rolling left and right. When from the freezer came a screeching sound, something small was tearing through the snack aisle down. Earlene, did you see that? It ran right past the Slim Jims, jumped in the bulk peanuts, and I think it flipped off the greeter. Yes, they call him the mouse. He zips through the store like he's got no house. He's chewing the cords and causing a scene. A 4-inch outlaw in aisle 13.